Okay, so extract B, folks, you're concerning yourself with these questions. How does the maniac use the language of power to trap the superintendent? Cross 21 and 22, find an example. And then find two examples of revelations that erode the audience's trust in the stability of truth that occur on page 22. So, the language of power is largely legal in orientation. The maniac is this extensive speech in this passage here that shows that he just seamlessly begins to utilize the discourse of legislation and legal discourse. And at the bottom, uses this to basically trap the police. It says, here, towards midnight, the anarchist, seized by a raptus, still you speaking, seized by a raptus, threw himself out of the window, thus ending his life upon the pavement below. Right, exactly right. What is a raptus? And then he here quotes an academic that we have no idea whether it's true. You know, if you are sad enough like me to have Googled this, you can't really find any entries of this Badiou individual. So it could be complete fabrication, but it sounds convincing. Badiou, in his authoritative work on the subject, states that a raptus is a crisis of suicidal anguish exhibited by a sane person when provoked by violent anxiety, right? And he gets them both to agree to this. So he gets the superintendent to agree to a definition which partly attributes blame that he's later going to use against them. So he says this, let us see what provoked this anxiety on our anarchists. Therefore, we shall reconstruct the exact events, beginning with your entrance, superintendent. He then says, my entrance. So we've got this meshing here of the boundaries between reality and performance, because the police interrogation becomes just as theatrical and performative as the play that we're watching. So he says, my entrance, don't you want to act out your notorious entrance? The entrance that caused the bloody raptor. So he goes back to that definition that he's been holding them to here. And then first of all, the superintendent claims that he doesn't make any entrance. It was a junior of mine. Now, the maniac in the extract below kind of provokes a sense of inferiority, a sort of an interest in hierarchy from the superintendent. Pisani says, you see, it was one of these devices that we often use to employ in the force to make a suspect confess. And the maniac says, and who asked your opinion? No one. And the maniac there is pretty brutal about a moment of actual honesty and revelation. And he agrees. Speak when you've spoken to, Inspector. And then the superintendent says, it was more or less like this. The suspect, the anarchist, was sitting there. And then the maniac joins in this performance. It becomes theatrical. I'll play the anarchist. Go on. And then the superintendent says, my colleague. And then the maniac says, I entered. So what he's done here, by invoking just this sense of hierarchy that he draws upon above when he says it's pretty feeble to pass the buck onto one's inferiors, you know. He's invoking the sense of superiority in the superintendent. When he tries to pass the buck here and blame it on someone else, he evokes that sense of superiority, and that's in the end what draws the truth from the superintendent. So he extracts the truth from him simply through this sort of earlier hierarchical appeal that the maniac makes, and then asks him to go on. And then he says, enter. So what we see here is the maniac in a sort of directorial role, where reality and drama are conflated. The maniac is positioned here as if he's this director of some kind of theatrical performance inside a theatrical performance.